Nate Mills alongside our NHL insider Paul Hamilton in front of the Bills facilities in Orchard Park, where the Sabres held their draft room for the 2026 NHL Draft. We're all done here. Sabres had the 4th overall pick after trading Bo Byram away to get that pick back. And with that pick, they get a defenseman that not many people had on their draft boards, Paul.
No, and there are a lot of people watching us right now who are disappointed. They don't really care who the Sabres picked because they want guys now. You lost a couple of guys. They want trades. They want guys now. They don't want guys 2 or 3 years down the road, even though you got the best defenseman in the draft or the #1 defenseman in the draft. But still, you know, if the trades aren't there, and they weren't being made really anywhere around the NHL, too much is being asked for the players around the NHL. So the Sabres made the picks, and they made good ones, it seems. You know, they were able to pick up a defenseman that they felt was the #1 defenseman in a defenseman-heavy draft. The guy that everybody thought would go #1 or the first defenseman off the board was the 4th defenseman off the board in Reed. So the Sabres got their guy. They got the guy that they felt was the best defenseman in the draft. And they were looking at it too well, we think 3 forwards are going to go off the board. They did, and they wound up with the guy they feel is the best defenseman. He's got some growl to him. He's excellent in the offensive zone, but he's also excellent in the defensive zone. And I think they really like those qualities in this kid.
That defenseman, of course, is Daxon Rudolph from Prince Albert in the Western Hockey League, just 18 years old, drafted by the Buffalo Sabres. And you were talking about fans might be a little agitated at this draft for the Sabres because they want solutions right now. But personally, I think there's some validity to that. You lose Bo and Byram and you lose Alex Tuch. Those are some big holes to fill in that lineup. I mean, what do you think about that?
And they have to fill them, and it can't be within. Of course, Ostlund and Helenius and Kulik are going to be parts of the team, but they can't be your main parts of the team right now yet. You know, they'll get there. They will be eventually main parts of the team, but you can't rush them to that place. You need guys like Tuch or Byram. Well, they're gone. So now you need to replace them. Right now, in June, this team has regressed because they lost, some would say, their best forward, and some would say their 2nd or 3rd best defenseman. You haven't replaced them yet. And I use the word yet. There's still plenty of time. Season doesn't start until either the end of September or the beginning of October. We're only in the end of June. So there's plenty of time to refresh the team and make it even a better team than it was last year instead of right now a team that has regressed.
So the immediate fix is not in this NHL draft. And you mentioned how many defensemen were available in this NHL draft too, but of their 5 picks, 3 were centers. What do you think of the draft strategy that the Sabres put on display in not just the first round, but 2 through 7 as well?
They have a pretty good history of taking centermen, and then the centermen are playing wing. Right now, they all can't play center. Between Ostlund, Helenius, and Kulik, they're all centermen. Kulik probably is the guy who doesn't play wing very well. So I would expect Ostlund and Helenius to be wingers because they seem to be fine doing either one. Kulik, especially in Rochester, he didn't blossom until they put him back at center, and then he really blossomed. So centermen can play wing. I think the Sabres have some guys that will be easily able to do it. Savoy, a guy who was traded to the Edmonton Oilers, he too was drafted as a centerman, but with Edmonton, he's played wing, had 18 goals in his first full season. So again, a centerman drafted by the Sabres who is making his bones now at wing. So, you know, we don't know the centers that were just drafted by the Sabres who can play wing and who can't, but I'll guarantee you some of them can.
Jerry Fortin earlier today saying, too, that, you know, the Sabres developing guys in the Rochester American system, that turnaround's going to have to be quick. You kind of saw it this year. You said some names like Noah Ostlund, and you said Yuri Kulich. You have to get ready quickly, too. How much do you think that draft just stalked the Rochester Americans? Maybe not right now, but a little in the future.
Absolutely will. I mean, Sturbeck is already there. He's one of those big, strong, right-handed shooting defensemen that they've drafted. He was a 2nd-round pick. Kleber was a 2nd-round pick. He's going to stay in school for 1 more year. He's a stud. We all know about Murtka. who was drafted last year in the first round, did play a little bit with the Rochester Americans. I would expect would play a little bit more. They have Komarov, the Russian that they drafted not too long ago. Before he came to Rochester, he was the best defenseman in the Quebec League, named the best defenseman, and led the defensemen in scoring. He has now had a chance to develop in Rochester, so he's going to probably start down there, but a guy that, if you need him, can probably start fitting himself into the Sabres. So, you know, he's just about ready. But he'll start in Rochester, and I think you'll see Sturbick down there for the first time, and I think you'll see more of Mertka down there.
And you heard Fortin say this too. He says he feels like they're kind of drafting the same guy a bunch of times. What are those characteristics that you see that are similar amongst all these draft picks?
Big, strong, right-handed shooting guys. Mertka has offense. The kid they drafted this year has offense. Kleber's not an offensive defenseman, but he is a stud. He is an absolute stud. As Fortin said, he was named the best defenseman in the league, first sophomore ever to be named best defensive defenseman in the league. So that shows you where he's at in his development. So he's a little bit different than the other guys as far as being on offensive side, but he's trying to develop his offensive side. Might be another reason why he's going to spend one more year in college.
The theme of this NHL draft, have some patience. The Sabres got some holes to fix, but it is not going to be in this draft. Jarmo Kekalainen still has the chance to make some moves in this offseason. Like Paul said, it's only June. Only time will tell to see how these guys pan out. And you're going to have to wait a little bit. I mean, it's going to be a year or two. There's some young guys that the Sabres picked up in this NHL draft. But for now, that's Paul Hamilton. I'm Nate Mills reporting from Orchard Park.